Good evening, everybody. As you can hear by my voice, I'm not Toby. Toby will be with us soon, but yeah, you're with me once again, Adam, as we wait for round five of the Positive Perception GT Multi-Class League, hosted with the VRCC. We are today at the wonderful German circuit Nürburgring, the GP layout, and once again, obviously joined by a whole host of drivers that are currently sat in their briefing as we wait to get going on what's set to be a great race. Um, yeah, so we will just sit tight and wait for Toby to arrive, and yeah, we'll get this stream underway.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to round 5 of the Positive Perception GT series with the Virtual Racing Car Club. And this is the business end of the season. 2 rounds remaining tonight and next week to determine who will be the inaugural GT3 and GT4 champions. Both championships still up for grabs, and both championships still with some very tasty championship battles as well to look forward to. I'm Toby Owen, I'm your commentator for tonight, and joining me in the box once again, we thought it was a one-off appearance, but no, he's back. He enjoyed it so much. Welcome once again to Adam Bent.
Good evening, Toby. How are you?
I am very well, thank you. Now, the Nürburgring is a absolute classic GT track. This is well known to pretty much every GT series in the world that races internationally. This is one of the meccas that they come to. Are you looking forward to this one?
Absolutely. Once again, brilliant circuit. Obviously, such a twisty but also quite fast circuit. Should be some great racing.
Yes, and I mentioned at the top of the piece there that we've got some fantastic battles in both championships. If we take a look at let's start with the GT3 championship standings. I've said all season that we've got this unusual position with this league where we've almost got different sets of drivers fighting out for the win every round, which does make the standings quite interesting. The two at the top, we've got there last week's race winner, Simon Wilkes, and Ryan Rees, who we'll talk about his misfortunes in the last race later on. But they are the two very much at the top of the standings. But the erstwhile championship leader, Remy Papin, is back with us today. So he has got some ground to make up. And that will be one to watch today, won't it?
Absolutely. I mean, Remy is such a talented driver, normally the top end of AOR championships. So definitely he'll be kicking himself for missing, obviously being forced to miss a round. Obviously, you look down the championship, you've got some great drivers in there. Jonathan Seville, you look at the likes of Miles Dixon, who's only turned up to a couple rounds, but still has obviously great potential to take a win today. But obviously Simon Wilkes has made every race so far and has made the most of it.
Yeah, and one other thing that I love about the GT3 standings as well, just before we move on, is there's almost a Porsche subcategory, isn't there, where we've got all of those Porsches pretty much line astern. So Paul Lindsay currently leading the Porsche honours by a single point. So we'll keep an eye on that as well.
Absolutely. I mean, unfortunately, we'll be missing the likes of Alistair Pollock tonight due to him needing some time off. But obviously, the Porsche battle seems to be raging on from 11th to 16th. All Porsches, all within 6 points, of each other, which is incredible to see.
Yeah, and if we take a look at the GT4 standings, I mean, there's a Porsche battle there, but it is far more relevant, shall we say, for the championship battle. We've got this story that we picked up on last week with Richard Pixley having the early lead over Jake Mills, who unfortunately missed the first round, but Jake is chipping away, and every round he is getting closer. Those are the two drivers that we are expecting to challenge for this GT4 championship, but they're not that far ahead, really, of the chasing pack. You've still got Mark Raddenberry, Colin Dunn, and Anthony Brown, who's been a race winner in GT4, of course, still in the mix.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at Jake Mills, he's missed the first round, which is why this gap is obviously still there, the 24 points gap. But he needs a big win today. He needs a big win, and to hope that his counterpart Pixley does drop points enough to close it into the last round. But so far, it looks like Pixley, with another second place, could pretty much cement himself a GT4 championship.
Yeah, and of course, it's not just about those two drivers. We are joined, as we tend to be, in the commentary box for the early part of the evening by the series organiser and also a GT4 championship contender in his own right. Mark Raddenberry joins us. Welcome, Mark.
Good evening. Thanks for having me. I don't know. I'm not sure about GT4 contender, but I'll roll with it. That's fine.
Well, you're in a podium position. Do you think that's? I mean, you're in a position where really you could still take that championship. Is that really on your radar, or are the guys ahead of you just too quick?
I'd like to think I could get some more points. I'd like to think I could hold on to maybe second or third. But I think Pixley's the times I've seen from him around this circuit in practice have been blistering. The Porsche just seems right at home, as it would. It's a German car. It's a German track. Unfortunately, the BMW, which is also a German car, just doesn't seem to have as much grip as the Porsche around here.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're certainly going for BMW honours, leading as you are over Jamie Buchanan. And Mark Neutlings, is your teammate with us tonight to see out on track?
Unfortunately, Mr. Neutlings has pulled out of the series. He's just got a lot going on at the moment.
Okay, so you're still in the running to be best BMW tonight.
Definitely. That is my goal. I wanted to pick an unusual car, and pick it I did.
So how's it been driving the BMW? Obviously, I mean, if you look at the British GT, they've been doing quite well with the Century Motorsport Works team as such. But how is it compared to possibly like real life to drive a BMW in this game?
I don't know, because I genuinely, in my 37 years of being on this planet, I've never owned or driven a BMW.
Wow.
At all.
I mean, that's quite an achievement.
It's not bad. So unfortunately, I can't say. I'll have to do some digging and find out for next week. I'll ask a friend.
Well, with 3 minutes gone in qualifying, the GT3 drivers are starting to make their way around for their first laps. So, yeah, best of luck today, Mark.
Thank you. I'm going to keep watching for a bit, because GT3 battle's always exciting. And just looking at the map, I'd say 90% of the pack is in the first sector at the moment.
Absolutely, which means that hopefully should be some tasty battles in qualifying, let alone in the race.
Yeah, nothing like spreading it out, is there?
And that is nothing like spreading it out.
No,
absolutely not.
It's a very, very tightly packed group of GT3 runners at the moment.
So we've got 19 runners this week, so we're welcoming back the likes of Remy Papin, Jonathan Seville, Ash Knight, Miles Dixon as well. So once again, some really quick drivers in the field, and they will be going for the outright win. But in and amongst that, we've got this sort of sub-story of, well, the major story really, the championship battle between Ryan Rees and Simon Wilkes, who are certainly quick enough to go for the outright win as well, but they will be sort of watching each other, I think, just as much as going for the top honours in this one.
Absolutely. I think, obviously, Remy will be definitely trying to work his way back up to the championship lead again. You know, he fought so hard for this lead, and if I know anything about, well, I've only known him for a little while, but from what he's said to us, he's determined to take that lead back. So it'll be interesting to see how hard he fights today. But yeah, 19 drivers in GT3 with a further 12 in GT4, combining up to 31 drivers, I believe, which is going to be quite a lot.
Impressive field. Yeah.
A fantastic grid to head into that very tight turn one. It's going to be concertina time.
So long as it's not Constantina to the pits, we'll be pretty happy.
I hope not. I'd just like to point out Johnny Seville, 153.8. Rumour has it that man has done a 152 flat here. So there's still time in the bag for Johnny.
That just seems inhumanly
That would be
possible.
something to see.
It really does. It really does. And he's not even using, the fantastic Fanatec, the top end kit. He is on a Logitech G920.
I mean, that's a good question actually, because I know a few people obviously have direct drive. I'm on a G29 myself. Do you think having a better wheel makes the difference?
No, because I'm on a G920. But mine is heavily modified. I have got a GT wheel courtesy of MVH Studios. And I'm also running the True Brake modification as well for the brake pedal. But I think to get into sim racing, you don't need megabucks. You just need a reasonable PC, and as long as you've got a force feedback wheel, it's great fun.
Yeah, I remember
you don't have to spend it.
Like I said, I remember the first series of the VTCC. I was on the same G29 I've got now, and on a £200 computer I bought off Facebook. So
it's all you need.
Exactly.
There's more expensive motorsport out there.
Indeed. But
It's,
it's almost the end.
current.
Sorry.
Go on, Adam.
I was going to say it's almost end of GT3 qualifying, and so far the top 10 is looking quite close.
Yeah, I was going to say currently a pulse 1-2 with Seville and Dixon, and they have got a bit of a margin over the field. Really, it's Simon Wilkes, the first non-pulse car, is a second back off that incredible pole time at the moment. Although we've not seen too many times come in yet, so that order may yet change. But yes, we've just seeing both Ferraris, interestingly, in the pits. So they are abandoning their hopes of improving. So Seville will not go quicker.
Oh, they've
And,
just gone past me in the pit lane. They're on their way
may
out.
make it back out for one more lap. I think they're going to aim to try and get the last lap in. So
Yeah, well, they'll still be out there after the 10 minutes, won't they? If they're just going now, they've got 2-minute laps essentially to do. It'll be 8 minutes on the clock before they're completing their laps.
we'll wait and see as to how they plan to do this. But yeah, that's definitely Miles calling it quits there. But a very respectable second so far, only half a second down on his teammate.
Yeah, and welcome back to Miles Dixon, who was due to be joining us not the last race, but when we raced at Silverstone, we were expecting Miles Dixon, but he fell asleep and missed the race. That's a true story.
Classic Miles, that one.
That very
Interesting.
much is.
Ryan Rees is only 12th. Has he had a bit of an issue on his flyer? Has he had traffic?
There's still time for him to put in a better lap, but yes, he will want to be higher than that. I've just seen as well. Third place has changed hands. Simon Wilkes has dropped to fourth. It's Remy Papin, so by a very slender margin, 9,000ths of a second. Remy Papin puts himself ahead of Simon Wilkes, which is where he needs to be. That's absolutely where he needs to be to take the championship fight to Simon and Ryan.
Yeah.
Ryan certainly not happy with where he is at the moment.
No, definitely not. I can tell you he'll be sat in the Discord call now with the likes of Carrie, Papin, and Kiki and JP McKinley, and they'll all be talking about this now, and I can guarantee you Ryan will not be happy sat behind Kiki. So probably a little bit of Mickey taking going on there, but wouldn't expect anything less from them.
I tell you, it may work in Wilkes' favour, because I think the lineup for this, the even numbers are on the pit side of the front straight, so he'd have the inside line for the hairpin.
Indeed.
I think that's right. I might be wrong.
Well,
it's been a while since I've done Nürburgring.
I was going to say, we'll see when they line up on the grid, but obviously we've still got 40 seconds of the qualifying to go. Obviously,
I suspect, Mark, we probably need to let you go and get ready.
Yeah, on that, I'm going to jump off and make sure I've got a little bit of fuel in the car. Thank you, gentlemen. Good luck. Thank you.
So, watching Ash Knight charging through the GT configuration of that chicane, which is a lot quicker for those of you who are familiar with this track from Formula One. The Vidal chicane at the top of the hill there has two configurations. The one that Formula One uses is a really big stop and very much slower. The GT version, you can, if you judge it well, you can absolutely fly through it.
I've found that quite often when racing on Assetto Corsa Competizione. You find that you're taking so much more speed than you dare to sometimes, and still finding the grip and traction to go through. But like I say, with that, so that should be the end of GT3 qualifying, and that is our final grid order, unless anything changes.
So we've gained a couple of drivers from last week. As Mark said, we've lost a couple of but I don't see Tobias Eriksson on our list tonight, which is a great shame. So he was top 10 in the championship. He's not, I think, by his own admission, Tobias, not the quickest driver out there, but he is consistently securing results, which has put him in a very favourable position in the championship. Sadly, not out on track tonight.
Absolutely not, and that's a big shame. Tobias is such a lovely guy to work with and be around, and hopefully he's comes back for the last round at Misano, which should be great fun. Yeah,
night race, isn't it? The Misano
absolutely,
race.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting.
Now, we got told off by Callum McGough last week for when the GT4 runners came out. We started focusing on them, and we missed Callum McGough's lap time, which put him second on the grid. No danger of that now. He has finished his run. Just a couple of the GT3 guys out there. And who was it? We were looking to see if Ryan Rees would improve his position, but no, he is
not.
still 12th. So, that's very interesting in the championship fight. We'll be watching that with interest to see whether Ryan can make his way up from that grid slot.
Now, interestingly, I'm just noticing that some of the drivers, you're right, with 8 minutes to go, are actually improving on their times. I saw Kozerski's just jumped a couple of places, and Ash Knight's jumped from 9th to 6th. So, obviously, I'm not sure what the rules are on that. Obviously, being a GT4 driver, I just threw myself out at 10 minutes. But, yeah, obviously, words may be had there towards the end of the session. But, yeah, looking at
we saw it last week as well, where but not quite to say the same extreme, where we're only 7.5 minutes to go in qualifying, and there's still GT3 cars out on track. I think, possibly that rule just needs to be clarified a little bit. But yes, the GT4 runners are now about to start their quick laps, and we're going to see, of the 12 runners, a great GT4 contingent in this series, which is great to see.
Yeah, absolutely. You look at a couple of the newer drivers, I believe. Yates is the first of the new drivers. Unfortunately, his livery's not worked for this round, but a Vulcan Esports driver. So another Vulcan Esports driver has joined us in the series. I'm trying to figure out who else has joined us since, but unless it is just Mr. Yates himself.
Yeah, I think all those other names we are familiar with, and once again, a couple of returning drivers who we didn't have last time out. So a very warm welcome back to Gary Messenger, Lisa Keane, and Lee Ward, all of whom were absent at Spa, but have rejoined us for the Nürburgring event.
Yeah, I believe that Ward possibly had to miss out due to a penalty infringement. But, yeah, obviously Lisa, I think, just missed it off of personal commitments. And who was the other one? Sorry. So I was trying to read
Gary Messenger.
Yeah, Mr. Messenger. Obviously,
one of my favourites from Silverstone. So yeah, good to see him back out on track,
absolutely.
And yeah, we'll be watching his progress with interest as well. And good to see that Tom O'Farrell's returned as well. Infamously driving the Maserati, which is not usually a favoured car in the GT4, and it certainly hasn't got all the bells and whistles that some of the others have. It's a very raw car to drive. So using that at Spa in the rain for the first time was quite a baptism of fire, but it did pretty well with it, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It did really impressive lap times. And Soufair was always in a battle of some sort throughout the race. But you can definitely expect this car to be high up on the grid today. With dry weather and a track like Nürburgring, this thing should, in theory, be challenging for the pole.
Well, he's got the likes of Pixley and Mills to contend with, so we'll see how close he does get to that. It's Anthony Brown who's laid down the initial marker after the opening laps, and both him and Pixley with a considerable margin over the rest of the field at this stage. It is early days, of course, but as we say that, I mean, only 5 minutes of GT4 qualifying left to run.
Absolutely, but I mean, one thing I've always realised with these sort of races is that no matter how fast you qualify, over the course of a race, one lap doesn't matter, especially when the race is an hour long.
Yeah, it's an hour long with a mandatory pit stop for this one, for tyres only.
Yes,
it
should be interesting.
Yeah. I'm going to enjoy it. I think so. Yeah. They can push their tyres as much as they like in the opening stint, and
absolutely.
Yeah, it's going to be quite tactical as to who leaves himself with the best tyres, who pits as late as possible to have the freshest rubber at the end of the race.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because it means that people can run a lower TC setting or a higher TC setting depending on how they want to. But obviously they'll find this balance where you normally can conserve tyres, but obviously you'll lose either exit speed or grip. Whereas now they can just run it as hard as they want, really. These tyres are normally designed to last about an hour, maybe an hour and 10 minutes. So to be able to just stop halfway through or just a bit after halfway should mean they can push as hard as they want on these tyres.
Yeah, it should make for great racing. Yeah, so 4 minutes to go, or just under, plus change, of course, as people start their final laps. They can do that, and they can finish their final laps after the checkered flag falls, so long as they have started it before the timer hits 0. Still no time on the board from a few drivers, most notably Jake Mills.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I'm trying to find him now as we go through the hosted GT3 cars. Trying not... Nope. It's just going to send us back through the pits again. There he is. But yeah, interestingly, neither Mark, Yates, Ward, or Roddenberry have set lap times yet.
Yeah, well, we might see a couple on the board now.
There's one.
There's one. As
no.
Lee Ward comes through.
Jake still hasn't set a time.
Jake Mills, still no time, so presumably he's abused track limits where he shouldn't have done. And the other driver who's yet to set a time is our newest driver in the field, Neil Yates. Yeah. In that Vulcan Esports. I mean, we're looking forward to seeing his livery. Hopefully we can get that up and running for the final round. But still recognisable in that sort of jet black car. He'll be very ominous in people's mirrors.
Absolutely. I mean, regarding the track limits, normally it is actually on that turn he's just come through now that you can lose your time just because you feel like you can extend more, like you would at Silverstone International, where you do just extend that little bit too much onto the runoff. But,
yeah, I hate that corner personally. It feels so slow and clumsy.
It does.
But as soon as you go through it, any quicker than a standard lap, you end up.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, just running that little bit wide, and it feels like you're going so slowly. And when you run wide, when you feel like you're going slowly, it just really irritates you. So I'm not a fan of the corner, but yeah, it's certainly a challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. As we come into the last minute and a half now, still no time from second place in the championship, Jake Mills. But looks like he should get a clean lap this time. Mark Roddenberry seems to be closing, so he could go faster here. But up in third, very good job by himself. So, yeah, but like Mark said, it could be very interesting into turn one with the varied cars, with the, the GT4s that do have, in some cases, better brakes than GT3 cars.
Yeah, just looking at Tom O'Farrell and Lee Ward setting exactly the same time for fourth place. And it's really not very much between currently O'Farrell in fourth and Lisa Keane in ninth. Only half a second separating half the GT4 field. We'll see if any of them can improve, of course. They will get more laps, and it's only third for Jake Mills. And I say only third, anyone would normally be delighted with that, but we're used to seeing Jake Mills out the front, not over a second off the pole time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a bit strange seeing him a bit further down, but I don't think he qualified very well in the last race at Spa. I think he was around third or fourth when he qualified. He just has the consistency to do these laps, lap in, lap out, and that's what allows him to obviously pull away from the pack. He just
providing he doesn't go over track limits, of course.
Obviously, yeah, the track limits are
which he hasn't done there. Yeah, and Anthony Brown has lowered the gauntlet even further, so we're into the 2:04s now. He's setting some really good times. If he can keep this up in the race, he is going to be in contention for his second win of the season, without doubt.
Absolutely, I think he's definitely got the opportunity to go for the win here, so hopefully he will just go for it, you know. He knows he's still got an opportunity to win this championship. He just needs to push as hard as he can. You know, at the moment, Pixley's given up on his lap, so
checkered flag is out.
Second is the best Pixley it can hope for, and 10th is the best for Lisa Keane. But it's still a very good lap time by herself. You know, she's not far off. From 6th to 10th is only half a second, so it's definitely a very good job.
Yeah, and Tom O'Farrell's improved, so you called it that Maserati looking more at home around this track than it did in the wet at Spa. And Tom, we know, is a quick peddler. The third placed overall finisher in the recent MX5 Super Cup. And whilst these are very different beasts, they are still rear-wheel drive sports cars. So no surprise to see Tom's prowess behind the wheel carrying over to the GT4 category.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at these cars and they are pretty much your standard road car with a little bit of, well, I say standard road car. a lot of modification, but you know,
I don't
they're
see
not.
that many Maseratis out on the road.
I
But
don't know. I've
yeah,
seen quite a lot of these ones. I mean, a lot of the Gran Turismos, I think, around just because of they were the you know, the Maserati's flagship of easy sales as such. But
yeah.
Jake Mills
So
up to second.
yeah, by 0.003 of a second. Yeah, I was just picking
Wow.
up on that. So no improvement from Anthony Brown. You can see him behind Tom O'Farrell there. He's coming to the pits. Jake Mills doing enough to get himself into second, but that gap to Anthony Brown will give him pause for thought, I'm sure. He is ahead of his championship rival, Richard Pixley, though.
Yeah, absolutely, which is definitely what he needs. But interestingly, Yates didn't set a lap time. I don't know if we can find him
Oh,
on the
well,
official app.
he's still out there, isn't he? So he is the last driver on track who could potentially
Nope,
set a
unfortunately
lap
not.
time.
He must have invalidated his time somewhere because it has not come through as a time, I don't think.
Okay, so Neil Yates will start last on the grid.
Oh no, he has set a time, but
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
just unfortunately a bit slower than he'd have liked, but very much still in the time. So everybody this time has set a time. We don't have any magical GT3s behind the GT4s to spice things up, but yeah, still 31 drivers, all with lap times.
Yeah, so, well, we've got a countdown now to the race, 5 minutes. So at the end of a qualifying session, which saw the leading drivers in both categories really with a bit of a gap over the rest of the field, but some incredibly tight midfield battles to look forward to. There we have on the front row, what a magnificent sight, the two Pulse SimSport cars, Jonathan Seville on pole, Miles Dixon in second place. Then comes the championship battle. Simon Wilkes starts third ahead of Remy Papin. On row 3. Oh, sorry, go ahead,
I was
Adam.
going to say, it's quite interesting to see Ashley Coupland back up towards the front.
Yes, well, he qualified well at Spa, didn't he? I think he didn't quite get the opening laps that he wanted, so hopefully he can keep it a bit cleaner. But that magnificent-looking Golf livery, he starts 5th ahead of Ash Knight, former race winner in this series, so he'll be hoping to get up near the sharp end again. Row 4, 2 great performances here, Stephen Carey and Rob Jackson. We saw them qualify well in Spa again, so obviously good pace in the car. They just need to keep it on the black stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, hopefully Carey can improve on his previous finishes, but yeah, lovely livery as well.
Yes, indeed. And another Pulse car here. Daniel Morris returns to it. Returns to us. Welcome back to him. Ahead of Robert Zantai in 10th. And then come the bromance. Kiki Mack out-qualifying his teammate Ryan Rees. I'm sure they will be talking about that one for weeks to come. But Ryan, with a lot of work to do if he wants to get himself up near his title rival Simon Wilkes. Amin Duragi and Radomir Kazersky line up on the 7th row. Radomir, the only Audi in the field. Then it's JP McKinley and Mr. Newton. Is that Darren? Darren Newton, yes. Darren Newton in 16th. Getting towards the back of the GT field now. We've got Peter Phillips in the Porsche. And Andy Benton. I don't think we've seen Andy for a while. Certainly didn't see him at Spa, so welcome back to him. And Kev Straw, who lines up in the number 21 car. That looks again like a livery that might be missing.
It's Kev Straw's livery, so...
Yeah, so Kev racing his second race with us in the Positive Perception GT series.
Yeah. Now we move to the GT4s, which, no surprise to see, Anthony Brown on the pole. Definitely one of the fastest drivers in the GT4 field. I think he's just had a string of bad luck at the moment that's cost him potentially more wins and even the chance at the championship lead a few times. Sorry, I'll let you carry on now.
No, do you want to take us through the GT4 grid?
I'm more than happy to. Obviously in P2 of the GT4s, 21st place is Jake Mills, who is currently chasing down 3rd and 22nd on the grid, Richard Pixley. Obviously, once again, right next to each other, the two Porsche drivers are going back and forth, trading places quite often now. 4th place for the series organiser, Mark Raddenbury. He won't be too upset with that, looking very strong again. that BMW, possibly the German connection to the circuit, helping out. But lovely to see the Maserati up in 5th, sat in the middle of this pack of amazing looking GT4 cars. Next to him,
absolutely,
the returning Lee Ward. Once again, a lovely looking livery, quite bright and ominous. Just next to him, just as bright and ominous, is Jamie Buchanan in that beautiful, almost spoon-inspired livery.
It reminds me a little bit of the Mystery Machine from Scooby-Doo.
It does, yeah. I see the resemblance.
We're going to call him Shaggy now. That's his new nickname.
Absolutely. Next to him is Alex McGee down in, I believe that is 8th place. I want to say 8th. I think that is 8th. No, 7th. Yeah, so once again, Vulcan Esports there. Then Colin Dunn in that very, very nice lime green and blue McLaren. Lisa Keane, the only Mercedes in the field. Surprisingly, I'm surprised there is no GT3 Mercedes, especially how dominant they are at some tracks. We have at the back of the grid now, Gary Messenger and Nathan Yates, the newcomer. So as we get ready to start the session, we're just waiting to see them peel off now. That is our 31 drivers.
Yeah, it's a great field, and when you see multi-class racing, the temptation is always, of course, to jump in the quicker car, and you might see like 1 or 2 GT4 cars at the back, but no, we've got a really good representation of 12 GT4 cars in this field, which will be fantastic. But equally, it is going to create quite a crowded track when the GT3 cars come round to lap those slower GT4 runners.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be very interesting to see, the Nürburgring is still quite a narrow circuit. I mean, I'd compare it to some circuits in the UK with how it runs. Quite a, in some stages technical, in other stages flowing, but all the time it's about maybe 2 and a little bit more car widths wide. You can run 3 wide down to certain corners, but immediately as you get to places like here, it pinches and all of a sudden you're down to 2 wide again. And that's where the GT3 and GT4 traffic, if it meets, could cause a few incidents.
Yeah, I mean, just picking up on what you were saying though about cars running sort of 2 or 3 wide, apart from the obvious, into turn 1, I mean, I've driven this track in a number of different machines in sim racing terms. It is really not easy to overtake around here. There aren't very many places where you're on the brakes for long enough to get a clear chance at overtaking.
I think the most notable turns will be turn 1, and obviously as we're watching now as they go through the hairpin, that will be if they can get on the brakes and, a switchback move where the driver does slightly go wide. If they can get to the apex before the other driver, it should mean that it's quite easy to overtake at that point. But yeah, like you're saying, most of the turns that you do go heavy onto the brakes are turns that, normally you'll follow through rather than trying to overtake in an aggressive manner.
Yeah, so we'll watch to see the battles. I suspect we might get a few instances of sort of the cork in the bottle where we're watching a train build up, which will be absolutely fascinating to see how people make the moves in that. But as we saw every round this season, and again at Spa, the importance of having a clean first lap, because some drivers really compromised their races by getting involved in contact in the opening laps.
Absolutely.
The opening corners, sorry.
Absolutely. I think turn 1 here is going to be, hopefully, a very, very beautiful sight, and not one essentially of a car park of potentially, a lot of money and a lot of expensive cars.
No, it's quite similar to Hungary turn 1, isn't it? Let's leave the comparison there.
Yeah, luckily it's not raining. We have to remember that as everybody bunches up at the back there.
Yeah, of course. In this formation lap, they're ghosting essentially, yeah. So you can't accidentally run into the back of someone and cause damage to your car. But yes, turns 1, 2, and 3 are the points on the track where it is wide enough to run several cars wide. So hopefully they will all sort themselves out before we get into the tight, twisty section of the track. So here we are. They are getting themselves lined up, which is tricky to do round a near 90 degrees corner. But we have our GT3 field getting themselves into position. The lights are red. When they go green, we are racing, and they are away. A great start from Miles Dixon in the Bentley. He caught his teammate napping there, and Miles Dixon's gained a couple of car lengths on Jonathan Seville, and he leads the field down into turn one. And I agree with you, Adam. It is a magnificent sight as all of those GT3 cars filter through, and it looks so far to have been a clean start to the race.
Absolutely, it looks like there's no real carnage just yet as we look through, looking for any yellow flags. No, it looks fairly clean so far. May have been some contact down in the GT4s. It looks like they've bunched up quite a lot there. But definitely the best starter by far was Seville. Sorry, Miles Dixon, I apologise. But absolutely flying off the line in that Bentley, using all of that, I believe a V8, or a very heavy V10 at least anyway. But absolutely using that to great effect to outpower the Ferrari down to turn one.
Yeah, and Seville's defensive from Remy Papin, who's trying to make hay while the sun shines here. He's going around the outside, but that's going to leave him wide. And Papin loses the place to Simon Wilkes, crucially, but also to Ash Knight. So one place gained off the start and 2 lost through the corner. And now it's Knight that's gone wide. So Knight gravel tracks, and he will lose places all through this. Stephen Carey has made a blinder of a start, and he's right on the tail of Daniel Morris.
Impressively, Daniel Morris has made up so many places at the start of this race. I believe he was down somewhere near 10th, and he's now up to 5th. So
yeah, he started 9th, he's up to 5th, so kept his nose clean at the start. We've seen a couple of drivers go off. But yes, up at the front, it is Miles Dixon who leads from his teammate Jonathan Seville. Their rear gunner, Ash Knight, has taken himself off into the gravel. So they will now have to be watching their mirrors, but they don't look like they're watching their mirrors at the moment. They're just focusing on each other. This great inter-team battle between the two Pulse drivers. JP McKinley's been off at the back. He is finding himself in and amongst the GT4 runners, with Ant Brown still leading from Jake Mills in the GT4 category as we go into turn one in anger for the...
Apologies, there seems to be some technical difficulties. I believe we still have Toby somewhere. Toby, you still with us?
I am. I was in full swing. I hope that was all caught on the stream. If not, then
unfortunately not. You cut out slightly.
Oh, never mind. But, yeah, I was observing JP McKinley's dropped back into the GT4 runner, so he's obviously had a bit of drama in the early part of this race, but nothing too severe. We can expect him to repass Anthony Brown, and Brown has absolutely checked out. He's got clear daylight between him and the next GT4 runner, which is led by Jake Mills, who looks like he's absolutely side by side with Tom O'Farrell.
Where is the Maserati?
Well, at least he was. Yep.
I look like Pixley had got into the back of the Maserati a little, but the Maserati absolutely flying off the line clearly, as he's taken a few. He's gone up from, I believe, 6th or 7th, all the way down back up to the front. So immediately that Maserati showing its proper pace in the race. But yeah, definitely by far Anthony Brown getting an amazing start and just checking out from the entire field so far.
Yeah, we'll see if it lasts, but yeah, certainly lots to keep an eye on as ever. Simon Wilkes isn't letting the front two get away. He is keeping Jonathan Seville honest. In these early stages, it's always advisable to just follow, unless you've got a real speed advantage over the car in front. There's no need to go overtaking at this stage. It's too much of a risk with the field close behind you. Just sit behind, get a measure of your opponent, and then know where you can attack later in the race. But the top three at the moment are starting to just break away from Remy Papin a little bit, and then another gap back to Stephen Carey in 6th. But yeah, Dan Morris, I think, has made up more places than any of the other GT3 runners in that opening lap. So Pulse with 3 drivers in the top 5 as we complete 5 minutes of the race.
Absolutely, and unfortunately Ryan Rees hasn't made any opportunities out of the situation, with staying in 13th, I believe, or even dropping a place down to 13th.
Yeah, he's dropped a place behind him in Deragi. So yeah, I don't know what's happening with Ryan Rees. He certainly hasn't made the start he would have liked.
Absolutely not.
Maybe this just isn't one of those tracks that he enjoys. We'll watch his progress, but yeah, the car looks fine. It doesn't look like he's got involved in any skirmishes in the opening laps. He's just not had the opportunity to make his way through the field that he would have hoped.
No, absolutely not. And it's a big shame because, at Spa he had such a great opportunity to, take a win, and it was so unfortunate that he lost it to fuel, of all things.
But what a terrific race, considering his fuel situation. He knew from 15 minutes that he was under-fueled and still made it through to third place. Absolutely. Terrific drive, really, but probably very frustrating in the cockpit knowing that he couldn't push as fast as he would have liked.
Absolutely, he's already attacking. He said, 3 drivers in front are clear. He can clearly tell a little bit slower than himself, so he's now trying to find a way past Amin, and then obviously Jackson Zantai back up to his teammate Kiki.
But this is what I said. It's so hard to overtake when the cars are running through most of the corners at medium to high speed. Absolutely. The only really big braking zone is here down into turn 1, which I'm sure Ryan will be looking at, as indeed is everyone else who's trying to make a move. As we see,
Jonathan Seville now makes a move on his teammate.
Yes, indeed. I couldn't tell whether he was alongside or not, but it certainly was, and it's Jonathan Seville into the lead, and Miles Dixon flashing his pathetic little lights on the front of that Bentley.
I was going to say, for a big Bentley, those little fog lights at the bottom are very underwhelming. But I suppose when you've got all the money that Bentley do, you don't need big flashes, do you? But
everything else on the car's big. They can get away with little lights.
But Jonathan Seville making the most of what looked like maybe a slightly wider line than Miles wanted. But Miles isn't going to give it up. I think there's no team orders at play here. It's just each Pulse driver for their own. But hopefully they need to play rear gunner a bit to each other as well, though, because the more they fight, the more Simon Wilkes will catch up. As you can see there.
Indeed, and just a quick word on Miles and Johnny Seville. Very much looking forward to seeing them both resuming this battle in the Virtual Touring Car Cup when it resumes in September. Pulse Simsport have signed up, and Miles and Jonathan will be racing. So we'll be treating our viewers to even more of the same.
Interestingly, I heard they were picking the BMW.
They have not yet confirmed their car choice, so we'll see what happens. But it would make sense as a rear-wheel drive entry. But anyway, in terms of what's happening in this race, Miles has not given up yet. Jonathan may have got through. I suspect it might be only temporary because Miles is shaping himself up for a pass.
Absolutely, I think he's gonna. He's made the move there. Has he made it stick? That's the question. He has, but I think Seville has made his way back into front yet. So Miles sends one on the inside, but couldn't get it stopped in time and turned. So he's going to have to try and find another way around some point in the future. But definitely he's going for it here, and he just isn't holding back anything.
Yeah, so the GT3 lead battle, very, very close. The top 3 pulling away a little bit from Remy Papin, but not massively getting away. The GT4 field is a different matter. That's looking very spaced out at the front. Ryan Rees has, I think, made his way past Amin Deragi now. I did see him going up the inside into turn 1, so
there we go.
There he is.
Standings haven't updated just yet, but he has made it past. But
so
Anthony Brown is
his
still
list.
massively in front of us. Kev looks like he's got into the back of something. But it's the first race, I believe, for Kev in the series. So
it's his second race. He has joined us once, unfortunately not on stream, so this is his first outing on the live stream. Welcome, Kev, and welcome to all of Kev's supporters who will be no doubt watching this back. But yes, baptism of fire in the GT3 category, and the Ferrari looking decidedly less expensive than when it was first made.
Yeah, interestingly, Mark has dropped a few places as well. Obviously, maybe a poor start off the line, but obviously, beautiful looking car, definitely. But unfortunately, he has dropped down to 6th, I believe.
Yeah, 6th in GT4. It's the usual suspects in the top 3 at the moment. Jake Mills We'll keep an eye on the gap. I think he might be closing down Anthony Brown, but it's a 4-second deficit already after just 10 minutes. So Anthony's certainly making a great start to this race.
Absolutely. And one thing I'm noticing is that ever since Seville has passed Miles, they've been checking out. They've gained over 2 seconds, I believe, to Simon Wilkes. So they're now, I believe, just checking out and going to go enjoy the battle at the front, I believe.
Yeah, they've called off the fight for now. Just get a gap over Wilkes and then go and fight amongst themselves. But Simon will be measuring himself against Ryan Rees and Remy Papin, so he's still going to be very comfortable with his position at the moment.
Absolutely. I think if Morris can find his way past to go play with his teammates, he definitely will. But,
yes, of course, we won't rule out a potential Pulse 1-2-3. And Ash Knight, who's there in 6th, whilst he's not with Pulse, I think he's with Vibe, I think is the name of that team, but they do essentially run out of the same stable. It's another team within the Pulse family.
A bit like Team Hard owning how many teams in the British Touring Cars this year. But
they associate. They associate with trying to buy success by associating with others. Let's stop there.
Let's not get too involved in that. But yeah, I'm more of a Sicily fan myself. But anyway.
Your mate Stefan Carey is having a great race.
Absolutely,
so I hope we haven't just commentated cursed him there. We saw him have a few off-track moments at Spa in the wet, but is keeping it on the black stuff and really starting to show his pace. And this might be, at the moment, with 10 minutes gone, one of his best positions that he's been in all season.
Absolutely.
So great to see him.
I think last time I raced with him properly was out at Imola, and we tangled towards the line. But so absolutely, he's a very, very quick driver on his day, and I think there's a lot more pace there that he's just not showing. Whether that just be through sort of sandbagging himself or just measuring himself up for another series of AOR racing. But very quick driver on his day.
Yeah, carrying the number 1 on his car. Of course, this is the first season of Positive Perception Racing, so that does not denote the reigning champion. The number 1 was available to choose just as any other number, but I believe next season it will be reserved for the driver that takes the overall championship. Still very much up in the air who that will be, of course. I'm just keeping my eye on Ryan Rees, and he's not really making the progress towards the back of Rob Jackson that you might have expected. So genuinely, I think he's just not found his groove with this track yet.
Possibly not. I think maybe he's made a mistake somewhere. Maybe there is another situation regarding fuel or tyres. But it doesn't seem like he's on the same pace that he would have been coming off the back of Spa.
Closest battle on track at the moment might actually be with his teammates, Kiki Mack and Robert Santai in the Audi. Although, no, that's changed now, hasn't it?
Got Kozersky as well, but I think it looks like Jackson could be catching the back as well. Jackson, he's closed right up to the back of the Porsche, so he may look for a move going down that long back straight if he can find a good exit out of this turn.
Which of these cars is quicker at a straight line, Adam, or is it much of a muchness between the GT3 runners?
I believe the Aston Martin might have a small advantage with the V8 rather than
he's
the
looking for it. He's looking for. He's gone for the move. It's a dive, but there's no way through there.
Bailed out, which is a very smart move.
Zantai
the more they fight,
the door.
It's allowed Ryan to close right to the back of them now. So the
absolutely, and just as they reach the start-finish straight as well, and that run down to turn 1, a gift for Ryan Rees. Now, can he make the most of it? We're going to watch him.
Is it worth trying to take this move? Because it just wouldn't work out if he goes for it. And, as Zansai definitely went defensive there to close the door on any possible dive bomb. But he's definitely fighting for his life there. I think Ryan Rees may have tried to find his way around the outside. He is looking around the outside. Still looking around the outside.
That's a very long way round. It's Rob Jackson cuts him off, but brave effort from Ryan Rees. I don't think many people have gone successfully around the outside of that. It's a never-ending left-hand turn.
Absolutely. I think he's getting a bit desperate now, getting a bit impatient. He knows that he's faster than this, and he's gonna keep going and pushing, and eventually one or two things are gonna happen. He's gonna pass or he's gonna make a mistake. But yeah, interestingly, yeah, Seville and Dixon have both checked out at the top. Now 3.5 seconds between them and third place.
Yeah, and I think it's worth mentioning actually we're 15 minutes in now, so a quarter of the race done. It's absolutely flown by. But one of the things that has just occurred to me is actually how clean the opening laps have been.
We've been very little.
Seen. I mean, we've seen a couple of drivers with damaged cars where I think they might have made a couple of mistakes, but we've not seen any of the sort of the multi-car collisions where drivers have lost places on the opening laps.
Interestingly, Colin's come into the pits. I don't know if we can see whether the pit window is open or not, but he's come into the pits really early.
Yeah, this may be a drive-through.
It could well be, but here we go as we've got the start of the GT4 traffic, so it looks like they're going to catch them 4 times this race, which is going to play pivotal to who comes out on top, as it looks like the leaders are actually getting caught up on some drivers. There you go, yeah.
Oh, and there's Gary Messenger. Fantastic first sight of the spinning green and black car this race.
Hopefully nice and safe on the inside there, not going to cause too many issues, but
Jonathan Seville's let's just watch the pulse cars because they've got quite a bit of traffic to get through, and of course that's allowed Miles Dixon right at the back once more of Jonathan Seville. So they're past Lee Ward. Next car is just coming into the hairpin now, so they'll probably catch him by the end of the lap, I would have thought. Oh, as Seville runs a little bit wide.
They should catch him now coming up into, is it the Schumacheresses, I believe? It's Lisa Keane, so she will be caught at the end of the lap. Absolutely. There's another yellow flag for Rob Jackson, who's pulled into the pits. So Rob Jackson has jumped to the pits. The Aston Martin.
Is the pit window open then?
No, that
Keane
was
getting well out of the way.
Reset to pits, that was. The yellow flag and suddenly a green flag with a pit next to his name. He's jumped to the pits, which means he's going to lose a ton of places. You know, that's going to cost him any points of this, any decent points scoring position of this race.
Great shame, because he was up there in that battle we saw with Zantai and Reese.
Absolutely.
Now dropping back, so the pulse cars have made their way successfully through the traffic. They've navigated it. Wilkes has maintained that gap about 2.5 seconds. Ash Knight still close to the back of. Was it Dan Morris? Yep, Dan Morris.
Well, interestingly,
so the traffic hasn't really affected the order of the GT3 cars.
Absolutely not. But interesting, the next lot of GT cars is a triplet of GT3s, the 2 BMWs and the Maserati, which will make everything so much more interesting for the leaders, because all of a sudden, from going to overtaking, just a single GT4, they've now got to worry about a battling pack of GT4s.
And I mean, they're not battling wheel to wheel, but neither of those drivers, well, none of the 3 drivers will want to lose any time, because this is the battle for 4th in class.
Absolutely. As you can see, Rob Jackson just dropping down the order, so clearly a big incident for himself.
Yeah, I didn't see it on camera, but obviously felt the need to teleport straight back to pits, didn't want to drag the car around. And there, look, just in the background, we can see Jonathan Seville and Miles Dixon. So they have now come up to Jamie Buchanan, or Shaggy, as he will henceforth be known, who he doesn't get completely out of the way.
There we go. I mean, he's within his right.
One.
Absolutely within his right to hold his line there. I think Miles was expecting him to dive out of the way, but no, he was within his right to hold that apex. Miles needed to find a better way around him. But that has definitely allowed Simon Wilkes to close the gap a little bit more. But yeah, there you go. It's very, very well done there. So Miles is now making his way around Mark Raddenbury. So the next one should be, there it is, Tom O'Farrell in the Maserati, which shouldn't be too hard a mission.
Well, particularly not down into turn 1. I mean,
absolutely not.
Cars may break at similar points, but the GT3 should have pulled ahead well before then, as indeed he does.
But interestingly, Kev Straw is a GT3 lap traffic. So you can see him just in front there of Jonathan Seville. So maybe that could play a little bit more havoc than the standard GT4 lap traffic, because all of a sudden they've now got to worry about a car that is similar on pace. But Kev seems to have got out of the way quite nicely there. Yep, absolutely. Brilliantly done by Kev there. Very well respectful of the leading pack.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, so the GT3 runners not closing up too much in all of this traffic, as Seville's having to go the long way round there on the next car, which is Richard Pixley. Pixley gives a flash the lights, presumably thinking that Jonathan was a bit too impatient, but it looked fine to me from a trackside camera.
Absolutely.
It's sort of battle adjourned for now, isn't it? It's just they're focusing on getting their way through the traffic, and then when they've got a clear track again, that's when they will start fighting again.
But once again, the biggest winner through that has been Remy Papin. He's all of a sudden now just over a second behind third place, which means that this traffic has done him a massive favour, and all of a sudden he's got this opportunity now to fight for that third place.
Yeah, and it's Richard Pixley holding his line, being a little bit more obstinate a back marker than some of the other runners that we've seen. I'm absolutely sure he won't get out of the way here of Remy Papin.
Well, he has got out of the way, but as Remy holds, very well held that. That's an incredible save there. Definitely too much curb through that turn, which is going to cost him all that time he's just gained. But yeah, I think the GT4 traffic has got to be a little bit more considerate, I think, knowing that they're never going to win an outright battle with a GT3 car. So I think it's that whole situation of, when do I know that enough is enough?
Yeah, and of course, when do you compromise your own race? Because let's not forget, he is still chasing after Brown and Mills, and needs to really manage that gap to Mills. It's all about that championship battle between the top two. I mean, Anthony Brown doing a sterling job here, but realistically, unless Mills and Pixley both have misfortune in this race, then Anthony Brown, it's out of his hands in a way. He can win all three races and still not get his hands on the title because of the points deficit.
Yeah, so there's a 3-point gap between second and third. So as things stand, if I do a quick maths, where are the results? There we go. So if I'm reading this right, it would mean that the gap would close by 3 points, which would mean Pixley would have a 21-point advantage going into the final round so far, which is definitely what he wants, because that means that he has to finish at the bottom of the GT4 pack for Jake to stand any chance of overtaking him.
Yeah, which is unlikely what we've seen. Now, there is a point for fastest lap as well.
Absolutely, so it could go down to 20, but point. It could go down to 20, but again, that would be a very that would be very fortunate set of circumstances. But yeah, I don't think it is physically possible for Jake to take the championship unless...
Miles Dixon's just closed right up on the back of Jonathan Seville, by the way. So
we'll jump back to that.
Whilst we've been talking, what's happened? The two Pulse guys are closed up again. Now they've got some daylight. As I said, its battle is resumed, and Miles giving his teammate a bit of a workout.
Absolutely, and I mean, Remy has still closed the gap massively to Simon Wilkes, so maybe within a couple laps we're going to see that battle finally take place for effectively the championship.
Oh, and Daniel Morris has something's happened to Dan Morris.
Absolutely, he's dropped down to 9th. There he is. So the Bentley isn't telling any stories thus far, so possibly just really unfortunate with the back markers. There's no real damage or scrapes on that car, so clearly just unfortunate with the back markers so far.
Yeah. Behind him, there is Robert Zantite, and there is Ryan Rees, who once again has still not made the progress that he would have liked. So he's got the chance of a top 10 now, but with Wilkes up in third at the moment, that's not what he needs.
No, absolutely not. I mean, we can see that Remy is going to chase until he physically cannot keep that car in a straight line. But you can see that Simon seems to be dealing with the pressure fairly well so far. Doesn't look like he's changed too much in the way he drives or his racing line. Meanwhile, obviously, Remy is just absolutely pushing, which is obviously great to watch for us on the stream, but how long can he hold up the same pace? Because eventually those tyres
we
aren't
saw
going
him
to
at
hold.
Silverstone, absolutely tenacious, right until the final lap where he had that coming together with Lee Ward in the lap in the traffic. He was
Well, there we go.
giving Jonathan Seville a real workout end to end. So yeah, I don't expect he'll
There we go,
crack
there's a
into
little bit of
Wilkes just running wide.
Little bit of a crack there from Wilkes, but the pit window is open only 10 minutes, so a very short pit window, which means you don't really have much choice. You've got about 3 or 4 laps from this point to pit, and if you don't
and those
pit,
guys have already been in, the likes of Colin Dunn, which we think was a drive-through, and Rob Jackson, who did that teleport to pits, that they will have to come in again.
absolutely, and that's really unfortunate for them. But there we go, Carey's already in the pits.
Yeah, from that great position, Stephen Carey coming in. Daniel Morris also from not such a great position. So it'll be interesting to see between those two whether pitting early allows them to get an undercut, particularly Dan Morris on the place that he was chasing. And the lead gap now over a second for the first time this race. The lead gap going greater than a second. Rees and Zantai are still very close. That possibly looking to be the closest battle on the track at the moment, but they've got a car between them, which is Jake Mills.
So hopefully Ryan will respect his Celtic Romance teammate. That is, he just gives him plenty of space and doesn't worry too much about fighting him. But yeah, unfortunately that is going to hold back the Bentley a little bit and open that gap to let Zantai breathe a little. I've got to admit, it's one of my favourite liveries. I used to always love watching the Flying Lizard Racing team. So, yeah, especially when they had the Vipers, they were very lovely cars.
Yes, if there's one thing that current GT racing is missing, it's a Viper.
It's a big American monster, especially with
the Mustangs in GT4, haven't we? But yeah, we need
Camaros,
a proper GT3.
Yeah, I think. Well, the rumor is that the C8 should be GT3 soon, so that'll be great to see. But yeah, as we should get back to the action.
Oh, Papin's right on the back of Wilkes now. The last split, they've just cut the timing beam.
There we go.
And there he is.
I think Remy is going to follow Wilkes, so when Wilkes pits, Remy will pit. So the Frenchman right on the back of that Aston Martin. The French Godzilla.
Be a pivotal moment. Yep, the French Godzilla on the back of Simon Wilkes.
The baguette is definitely out here as he chases down the Aston Martin now.
Careful, we are still before the watershed. Oh, and they've got traffic as well, so that's Tom O'Farrell. They've caught him at one of the slowest corners on the track, but they do manage to navigate him. And yeah, Simon Wilkes not compromised too much, but will have been slightly sweating when they caught him at that point. So Remy Papin on the back now. We're seeing all angles of him here. The master at work, chasing down third place, and still with those 2 Pulse cars in sight. It's not beyond the realms of possibility that he could still catch the 2 ahead of him.
Absolutely.
We've got 30 minutes of this done, and they're only 5 seconds up the road.
Shades of Kyle Army come back to this, spring to mind when Miles checked out from the entire grid, and then all of a sudden, in the last 5 minutes, threw everything away with a very audacious move. Again, this is the thing about hour-long endurance sprints. Everybody is very quick to try and make their moves, but in reality, even if you pull a 2 or 3 second gap over half an hour, that gap can be reduced in 1 lap. Remy comes into the pits.
So he's not followed Wilkes. He's going for the undercut. He reckons he's quicker. He's going to slap some fresh rubber on and do the outlap of all outlaps. And Simon Wilkes now has got to respond to this. He knows he's got this lap. He's got to be as tidy as he possibly can, because oh no! And look at that. He's coming out, and there is traffic exiting the pits. It's Amin Diraghi and Darren Newton. That is not at all what Simon Wilkes wanted to see, and Remy Papin might have pulled an absolute masterstroke here.
Absolutely, and Miles is in as well. So Miles and Papin in. So if they've timed this right, as we try and find them, let's see whereabouts they are in regards to their stops. They shouldn't be too far out now. It looks like they're going to get clean air. There is a massive gap, and I think they've pulled an absolute masterstroke here with the way they're planning these pit stops. But
so Wilkes still hasn't cleared both cars. He's only got past Amin Daragi, and just to add complications, they're lapping Mark Raddenbury in the GT4 car as well. This is costing Simon Wilkes so much time. I think if he pits this lap, he is guaranteed to be behind Remy Papin. So what does he do? Does he stay out, or does he pit in?
He's got to pit now and reduce the damage. But I just want to say a quick hello to Finley Swarbrick, who's in the chat.
Good to see Finley, former VTCC driver and very popular fellow around the paddock,
Absolutely.
the virtual paddock at least. Great to see you, Finley, and hope you're enjoying the action along with all of our other viewers tonight. So yes, we are watching the current second place man, Simon Wilkes, who was running third on the road before Miles Dixon made his pit stop. Remy Papin has just pitted, and Wilkes has had a disastrous lap where he's met traffic from both categories. And he does pit now. I have absolutely no doubt that we are going to see him rejoin behind Remy Papin, who is going to jump into third place, unless, of course, Papin has come out in traffic himself.
We're trying to find him now. We should find him in a second. There's Miles. So no, it's clean air. It's absolutely clean air. This is Miles now catching the back of GT4 traffic that's pitted. But no, there's so much... I think, potentially even... both of these drivers could now jump up to first and second.
Well, we'll see on Jonathan Seville. We didn't see Jonathan's in lap, so we don't know if he had the same traffic to contend with that Wilkes did. I mean, he certainly had a bit of a lead over Miles Dixon, who has now got his own traffic, and it's none other than Richard Pixley, who gives him plenty of space into the chicane, to be fair. So I would expect...
There it is.
I would expect Seville to still come out in front, but I am absolutely certain that Remy Papin is going to jump Simon Wilkes in the pits.
There's Wilkes. Let's see how it comes.
The pit stops are coming thick and fast now, aren't they?
Here we go. We're watching the P on the right side, on the left side. So as soon as that P disappears, so Seville will keep his place, but Wilkes has lost his place. So Wilkes does lose his place to Remy.
We were expecting that, and I think he's lost more than that. I think I just saw Daniel Morris exiting the pits.
In fact, there you go, Seville. So even Seville has lost his place. So Remy and Miles pulling the absolute masterclass there and jumping both drivers that were in front of them in the stops.
Yeah, well, Jonathan Seville must have had traffic on his lap as well then. Every time a GT3 car goes past Richard Pixley,
Ash Coupland
flashes his lights. Yeah, Coupland's picked up a stop-go penalty. That's speeding in the pit lane, isn't it?
That'd be a speeding in the pit lane penalty, yeah. That's so unfortunate. And, you know, it's just absolutely gutting to see, you know, drivers that do get that speeding penalty. It's such an awkward pit lane at Nürburgring, because it's on the corner as you come in, and then you want to drive fast out of it. But just as you hit the gas, that is where the line is. And even the slightest speeding infraction gives you this giant stop-go that essentially kills the race.
Yes, I mean, the field's been so close in this race. We've seen the field really not string out very much at all, which is great. But Coupland he's not taken that already, has he? He's dropped a long way down the order. Is that just as the timing was sorting itself out coming out of the pits?
Yeah, it should be timing sorting itself out. But Jake Mills and Anthony Brown are the two leading GT4s that have pitted, sorry. Pixley is somewhere on the circuit. I believe he'll have to stop now. If he doesn't stop now, there we go, just about coming in within the pit window. He's cutting it very fine here. I believe,
but he will be on the freshest tyres of the GT4 runners, although admittedly not by much, only by a lap or two.
Absolutely, but it may be all the difference. You know, it's a big question of how long can you make your tyres last, and can you push the same amount. I've tried it before, where you just, you know, run the tyres out as much as you can, come in super early, and all of a sudden you find yourself struggling a lot more than you thought you would.
Yeah, so Jamie Buchanan's got to come in as well. He's got 18 seconds to do so. And there he
Just
is.
about makes it in.
So
there's our
and Ash
effective
Copeland's
leader.
come in for his stop-go.
So there is our GT4 leader coming through now. Jake Mills, I believe, is in that pack of GT3s.
Pit window is now closed.
So there he is. Yeah, there he is. So he should reclaim his second place.
Yeah, that should be quite comfortable. He's just going to let the GT3 runners through. That's JP McKinley who goes through. Currently running 13th in GT3. And he may gain a place here on Peter Phillips, actually, who was the last GT3 runner to pit. So you'll see his name dropping down the order. But yes, in the GT3 runners, we've seen Miles Dixon retain the lead. Jonathan Seville dropped to third behind Remy Papin, and Simon Wilkes is in fourth place.
So interestingly, there he is. There is Jonathan Seville. I don't think Remy will fight Jonathan too hard. He knows that his battle is with Simon Wilkes, who is down in fourth at the moment.
I don't think it's a given that Jonathan Seville's going to catch him, to be fair.
It may not be, but I think Remy will fight it probably in the last 10 minutes if he catches him. But yeah, obviously the points as it stands now, Remy needs an impressive points haul over his obviously the counterpart there, Simon Wilkes. But they are going toe to toe at the moment, and it's very, very good.
Yeah, the pit window is really spaced out the field, though. If you consider that we were looking at some really close battles beforehand, a couple of seconds between all the runners now, with the exception of Daniel Morris and Robert Zantai, who are within half a second of each other. But given the pace differential between them, you would expect under normal conditions Morris to be able to pull that gap.
Absolutely, he should pull that gap pretty easily. But yeah, Zantai will probably drop back a bit, and we'll see Ryan and Zantai definitely probably resume their battle, but over a little bit more of the points this time. But interestingly, the gap will only close by 5 points as it stands. So Remy needs to find either a way past Miles to obviously close it even more, or to hope that Simon now fights enough of the pack behind. But at the moment it looks pretty set that Simon should take fourth.
Yeah, still a long way to go, of course, and touchwood, everyone is fueled to the end, but we did see issues arise as Papa gets it all wrong on the way in. You are allowed to cut the track like that. I mean, you'll still get it'll still count as a cut, but he hasn't gained or lost an advantage. Well, I think he's possibly lost time by doing it.
Yeah, there we go. He's lost over a second and a half by that gravel trap excursion. So obviously he'll be kicking himself, and Jonathan will obviously be licking his lips because he knows that you know, it's an easy position if he gets close to him. Well, I say easy, but I can guarantee Remy will fight him till one of them hopefully finds their way further forward. But yeah, right now it seems to be that the GT4 traffic could define this battle.
As is often the case, but as I said so far, touchwood, it's been a very clean race. Ryan Rees has suddenly found himself on the back of Zantai, so Zantai's made a mistake somewhere. He's dropped off the back of Daniel Morris, and now he's got the very familiar sight of Ryan Rees behind him. Ryan will be able to tell you exactly what's written on the back of that Porsche's rear wing by the end of this race.
I'm sure he will. But yeah, it's a very, very lovely. Both cars very pretty there, like very, very nice liveries. But yeah, I'm just trying to look through the field now. This is the only battle that's really developing at all. Anthony Brown's checked out from Jake Mills.
Yeah, Mills closed the gap slightly on that lap, but only by a few tenths. And yes, the GT4 runners have been a bit more spaced out than the GT3 protagonists throughout this race.
Absolutely.
we will keep an eye, of course, on Ryan Rees. He is currently sitting second in the championship at that position, looking like it may be under threat to Remy Papin.
Yeah.
But Simon Wilkes is the one who is in the pound seats at the moment, with his closest rival well down the order. And Papin not really far enough ahead to make sufficient a dent in the championship standings, should we say, before the final round.
No, absolutely not. I mean, it's still completely possible for him to take the battle to the final round, but obviously at a cost of he needs to gain as many points as he can this round, so that in the event he only needs that 5-point deficit to win. It definitely gives him that opportunity. But at the moment, Anthony Brown is just absolutely pulling away from the entire pack. I mean, fastest lap of the GT4s so far, and I believe still going faster even in the traffic than most of the GT4s are in clean air. So
now, we saw this interestingly at Kyalami at the very first round of the season. Anthony Brown was the class of the field, and he absolutely checked out. I think he was about half a minute clear of the next driver. So he's had some bad luck in other races this season, but it's feast or famine for him. It's either a metronomic performance at the front of the field, or he seems to be embroiled in some kind of drama.
Absolutely, I think this is a race that's proved, just how quick he actually is. He's been in clean air, he's not had to fight too hard to keep his position, and this is what happens when you get an opportunity like this. You just don't waste it.
Yeah, and it'd be the first time, of course, that someone's actually beaten Jake Mills.
Absolutely, it's a case of Jake seemed to be in a field of his own, and this race has proved that there are definitely the equals in this field. They've just not had the opportunity to shine. But yeah, most notably is that I believe, yeah, there we go. There's the battle for second place. It is now heating up, if we can find it. There it is.
Oh wow, absolutely. So Seville moving around all over in Papin's mirrors. Papin going defensive into turn one, so he knows Seville is there. These two had, as I said, such a cracking battle at Silverstone. Battle is now resumed, but Seville's straight up the inside. He surprised Papin, and wow, what a move from Jonathan Seville. Took that opportunity and yeah, I think shocked Papin into not defending. Absolutely. That was a late move, but really clean, really fair, and Seville is back into second place.
Absolutely, I think it was very audacious by a long, by no means was it a completely safe and okay move, but he made it stick and no contact.
Yeah, absolutely, and well, that changes the championship dynamic once again. Papin now just at the single place ahead of Simon Wilkes. So it is advantage Wilkes. And Stefan Carey's still running up there in 6th place. He's having a fantastic race. Absolutely. In the Ferrari.
He's just doing so well again. And Kiki Mack's still in 7th as well, which is really good for him. He'll be happy about it. As there we go, there's a massive amount of traffic. Look at that for a stack of traffic. That's
GT3s, GT4s, is it as well at the very front?
But Remy's just been, stuck behind those two GT3s, and now there you go.
Parts the waves and gets through. And Pixley. Of course, the GT4 runner is Richard Pixley, who seems to be everywhere. You sure he's the only Richard Pixley car out on track? It seems to be about 5 of them.
Absolutely,
seems to have everywhere there's GT3 traffic. There you will find Richard Pixley. But no, let's Remy Papin go. Seville has navigated that traffic much better, and you see he's gained about a second on Remy Papin as he sets off in pursuit now of Miles Dixon.
Absolutely, I think Remy knew that he needed things to go the right way for him to even have a chance at the championship still, and at the moment it just seems to be he's getting very unfortunate with this traffic, and Simon Wilkes seems to be getting quite a good run through the traffic. There he is now coming up to that infamous triplet of varied cars.
Yeah, well, what's really interesting is that you've got Peter Phillips in there who's putting a lap on the other two, but Kev Straw and Richard Pixley are technically battling for position, even though they're in a different class.
Absolutely, I think Pixley has seen that, and he wants that little bit of I've beaten a GT3. I think that's definitely the case for some of these drivers. You know, any little advantage they can get over each other, they'll have, because it's not just about, you know, the competition. It's more about, you know, they're trying to what positive perception are trying to do. You know, build that friendship between some of these drivers. Some of the drivers that are really fast, and some of the newer drivers. You know, build that community within each other. And you can definitely see through, like, from the start of the series where there was a lot of arguments and a lot of debating, to more, you know, reasonable discussions about situations. You can see definitely everybody's sort of grown a bit closer together as the series has progressed.
Yeah, a lot more respect shown on track, absolutely. Right, we have a battle brewing. Daniel Morris, after that lengthy pit stop, or delay before the pit stop, I should say, is now closing in on the back of Kiki Mack in the Lexus. So this is going to be for 7th position. And Morris, the quicker of the two drivers, but has not had as clean a race. Kiki Mack has been very clean and consistent, hence being up there in 7th place. But
He's looks to be
he's
not
let him
fighting
go.
him.
Yeah, he said, through you go.
Absolutely. I think he's going to follow him, and, you know, use that speed that Dan has, you know, that pulse experience to help him. He'll know that.
Don't follow him on that line.
Don't follow him obviously off that. I think that way, but that he'll be hoping that Dan will just basically take him towards his friend and teammate Stephen Carey.
Yeah. Now, the lead battle is something that's not yet resolved. Jonathan Seville, after that monster move on the French Godzilla, has checked out again. So he is now closing in on the back of Miles Dixon, and that is taken a good 0.6 of a second out of him on that lap alone. So I don't know if Miles had traffic or not, but Seville is coming. He is absolutely monstering his way up the field towards Miles Dixon. So he's not yet out of it, even despite that less than ideal pit stop.
Just trying to find Mr. Dixon now, and yeah, you can just see some of the cars starting to show their wear and tear as such. But there we go. So yeah, he's very much closing the gap. So he knows that Miles is struggling on whatever setup he's on, and this is advantage to the Ferrari now. I noticed in practice that both Ferraris were the quickest, so it is very much a Ferrari circuit here.
I've not seen this kind of speed differential in the race so far. When Miles and Jonathan have been battling previously, they've been fairly closely matched. Why now is Seville carving up the time? Is this tyres? Is this fuel? Is Miles having to save fuel? I can't imagine that Jonathan's just that much quicker, because he's taking absolute chunks of time out of Miles's lead.
It could be a mixture of things. Again, about 30-40 minutes. I'm not sure if you've ever experienced it in your race career, but about like half an hour, maybe 40 minutes into your stint, you do start to make a few more mistakes, maybe go a little bit slower, because you're just sort of more alert to what's around you rather than being so hollowed in on the track like you are in the first sort of 20 minutes of your stint. I very much, when I've done endurance races with friends and solo endurance races online, up until about 20 minutes you're absolutely fixated, and then all of a sudden your mind starts to wander because you're sat on the track on your own and you don't notice it, but the time just slowly ekes away again, and then all of a sudden you're having to fight for your position.
Yeah, no. Well, maybe Miles Dixon is in that zone now, but I'm sure, because they share a voice chat, I'm sure he will be aware that his teammate is slowly but surely scything up to the back of him.
Absolutely, I think he knows this, and maybe he's even just trying to invite his teammate. He's gonna go, come on then, if you think you're faster than me, let's have a go.
Yeah, let's race, let's play.
Absolutely.
Now, for those of you who are following the GT4 category, I have unreserved apologies that we've not been following GT4, but that we've had much closer gaps to look at in GT3. Just a rundown of how things stand in GT4 currently. Anthony Brown, right from the get-go, has been the class of the field, and he's been in a league of his own. He's over 10 seconds clear of Jake Mills, who himself has had an advantage over the rest of the field. Richard Pixley currently sits third. The battle for fourth has at times been really close. Tom O'Farrell always seeming to be involved, but Mark Roddenberry, after the pit stops, has got that position, so up into fourth place. And then you see the gaps in GT4 have been like this for a lot of the race. They've been fairly spaced out compared to the GT3 runners. The closest battle there looking to be, aside from Colin Dunn and Lisa Keane, who are sort of battling for wooden spoon avoidance in a way, Jamie Buchanan just seeing if he can follow his BMW compatriot through into 5th place past Tom O'Farrell, who's looking very impressive in that Maserati.
Absolutely, I think that Maserati is definitely doing itself justice up in 5th with 11 drivers. So we've lost, I believe, one of the GT4s. I believe it's one of the...
Gary Messenger.
Like, yeah, it's an Aston Martin. So it'll be Gary Messenger we've lost. But yeah, as you can see, very much a case of wooden spoon avoidance in some aspects. But there you go, you can see Lisa now in the shot, as it will be Jonathan's turn to get past after Miles has successfully negated round past the Mercedes, as he does as well. So everybody seems to be getting through the traffic fairly well. There's only been that one incident that we saw with Gary Messenger.
Yes, and to be fair then, that wasn't really Messenger holding anybody else. He was just spinning.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just lost it, unfortunately, and yeah, people avoided him very well. So yeah, we've got a battle at the moment between, well, I say a battle, shaping up between Amin Diraghi, who we're looking at, and Darren Newton, who is just up the road. And both of these drivers, this would be a really good finish for them. So the battle for 12th would represent a really good finish for both Darren and Amin. So much to play for here. And I mean, right on the back now, Darren goes super defensive, but Diraghi's going to go around the outside. A little kiss, a little love tap.
A little bit of a tap, but again, nothing you wouldn't expect in GT races. Then he goes up the inside, and there's another little bit of contact, but still fairly clean, as now Darren goes back down the inside. Oh, it's a big shame.
It's ended with contact. Now, hopefully, Darren is going to wait to give Amin the position back there. It looks
like he's trying to get rolling slowly. You can see the white flag for Darren just in front. But yeah, that's really unfortunate. There's also leaders now coming through as well. So there's Simon Wilkes. I believe Remy's just been gone past Lisa Keane. So,
yeah, so that's what I mean. Had to hold it on the brakes, of course, because the leaders were coming through. So some great side-by-side racing, which sadly ended in contact, as we saw Darren Newton just get into the back of Amin Diraghi. And these Porsches don't need much encouragement to go round when they get a little tap.
They're lovely to drive when they're in the zone, but any little push outside of their comfort, and you're just immediately on this situation of trying to control essentially one of the most tail-happy vehicles I've ever driven.
Yeah, we saw someone go off there. Was that
I believe
Simon?
That was
Simon
the
Wilkes?
Lexus in front, number 70, Mr. Benton. That looks to me.
So yeah, he's gained a position then in that altercation between Diraghi and
Newton.
And Newton. It's actually given a
Simon Wilkes
place to Benton.
Simon is pushing Amin, which is interesting. It looks to be that Simon's getting a little bit impatient behind the traffic now, as well, as he seems to be trying to find a way past. But
It was good old-fashioned bump drafting.
There we go.
It's fine.
Amin does let him through now, but yeah, obviously it looks to be that Simon is just trying to push as hard as he can to see how close he can get to his championship rival, as Jonathan has closed the gap to within a second now. So
yeah, remarkable. So 6 seconds, 6 minutes left in this race, and the lead gap is down. We've seen this in so many of the races. I'm so delighted to say that this series always seems to produce a lead battle for us in the closing minutes of the race. We've seen it time and again this season. No matter what happens in the race, we always end up with a lead battle at the end. It's almost as though Mark Raddenbury plans this out in the briefings and says, you know what, guys, just make sure you save the fireworks for the end.
Absolutely.
And that's exactly what we're getting.
Here we go. It looks to be that the Ferrari just has the outright pace against the Bentley at the circuit. Obviously, the Bentley being such a wide and quite bulky car, and sometimes a bit cumbersome compared to the Ferrari, which will probably be quite light and dainty. Obviously, Ferrari taking the win at 24 hours of Spas. That was
Oh no, that's
questionable to say the least. Once again,
who's that? That's Anthony McGee.
I believe that is
Alex
McGee.
McGee.
Yeah, Alex McGee.
So just completely unaware that Miles Dixon was there, and unfortunately that has robbed us of our lead battle. And Miles, for the second time this season, finds himself taken out of the position by a GT4 car.
Well, I mean, we won't get into that one, I don't think. We'll save that for another day. But yeah, absolutely, you're right there. I think the GT4 hadn't been aware of what was behind as such, didn't realise the importance of that position. Well, we hope at least anyway, in that way.
Took his normal line, I think, so he was probably unaware that there was another car alongside him at that point.
Absolutely, I think it's a big obviously upset for someone like Miles, who would quite like to have had that opportunity to fight his teammate properly. But there seems to be a battle brewing ahead, but I don't know if it's for position or just in general as we go that way. No, it is for position. It's Tom O'Farrell and Jamie Buchanan.
Here we go. So we've got a GT4 battle to talk about now. So yeah, Tom O'Farrell, who started really strongly, he has been slowly slipping back from that fourth position that he found himself in. He's now got Shaggy, Scooby-Doo and the whole of the crew on his tail as we head down into the hairpin. And Jamie Buchanan would love to take another position. He's been mid-table in GT4s. I don't think he's got himself a podium yet this season, but he's always there or thereabouts.
Another interesting thing to point out is Pixley's caught Mills. Pixley has caught Mills to the point where...
He has indeed, and he's absolutely wolfing up the time, actually. So has Jake Mills got an issue?
This could be game, set and match, which is... Because if Pixley does overtake him here, it would mean that there wouldn't... Unless we had 14 drivers, it would be the championship for Pixley.
Yeah, so let's see if we can find them on track. See if there's anything that gives away why that pace might be coming.
It looks like a little bit of damage, but is there a possible puncture? But that's definitely...
He'd be losing more time. He'd be losing more time if it was a puncture.
There's definitely something wrong with that Porsche, but we don't know what. Is it fuel? Is there another fuel situation?
Let's get into that stage of the race where it could be. Yeah, still a couple of stories yet to unfold, but well, up the road, Anthony Brown is certainly on course to win GT4. We've no idea yet who is going to finish second, but you're right, the gap is coming
down massively. It's being eaten apart, which means that it could be curtains for Jake Mills' championship's hopes, because
he's got 2 laps, I reckon, after this one. So this lap and 2 more.
Absolute.
Survive.
You'd be about right. I think we'll find where the leaders are on the circuit. There they are. So it'll be 2. Yeah, it'll be 2 more laps round by the looks of it.
Unless, of course, they manage to put a lap on Jake Mills before the end, which doesn't look likely. I don't think they're in the same sort of space on the track.
There is
let's keep an eye on that, because that's Buchanan on the back of O'Farrell, and he's been there for a few laps now without being able to get past the Maserati. But this is the position in GT4 that is
that's quite nice.
I was going to say most likely to change, but that might not be true because, of course, of Mills and Pixley.
We've got Mills and Pixley, which is still heating up. So there we go. There's another battle heating up there between the Lexus of Benton and Daraju, who looks to be making the move here. He looks to make the move. Thinks better of it wisely.
I've got Ash Knight behind them, who's just trying to mind his own business. He's got plenty of time as Ash Knight on the car behind him, but he won't want to get taken out at this point.
So final lap call there from the race director, which means that somewhere on the track is that, well, there's Pixley. Has he caught Jake Mills? No, Jake Mills has still got the gap. So where are the leaders? That's the big question. There's the leaders. So I think there is another 2 laps for those GT4 drivers, but Jonathan Seville seems to be in absolute control here. It doesn't look like there's any traffic in front of him now. So it should just be a very straightforward dash to the finish for him. There's one GT4 car ahead that he may have to overtake, but I can't see that being enough of an issue for Miles to claw this back.
And what's remarkable is that if it does finish this way, Seville would be the first driver all season to win a second race.
Absolutely. Was it Silverstone he won? Oh no, it wasn't Silverstone, was it? What round was it he won?
Yes, it was Silverstone. Yes, because
Silverstone.
of course Remy Papin
Yeah.
finished second in that one, having chased him down.
But yeah, so here we go as we come onto the white flag now. They're just coming up to the final set of corners now, I believe. No, we're coming
about half a lap still to go on this one, and Pixley is now 2 and a bit tenths behind Jake Mills, so he's really turning the wick up.
We'll have to jump straight to them as soon as we get him across. As soon as we get the leader across the line, we're going to jump straight to that battle. There they are on the main straight there, by the looks of it. So it looks like there could be a position change and a championship. Jonathan Seville! Seville off in the final turn.
That's an unusual line to take on your victory lap, but through the final corner comes Jonathan Seville. He is the first driver to double up. Jonathan Seville takes victory at the Nürburgring. Miles Dixon is second, but we need to check in with the GT4 battle between Jake Mills and Richard Pixley. There they are. And they're coming to the first sector, so still a lot of the lap still to go for Jake Mills. We will try and catch Anthony Brown across the line if we can, but obviously he's 17 seconds up the road, so still plenty to go. If it's fuel, I wonder if Mills has just eked this out. He's saved as much as he could whilst he had track position, allowing him to turn the wick up again and keep Pixley behind him for the final lap. We shall see.
It's interesting to note that Buchanan did make his way past Farrell as they crossed the line, so they've made somewhere the position was changed. But
so yeah, Buchanan just getting that position on the final lap. Well spotted, Adam. And where's this one going to finish? Pixley surely won't know. He won't be able to do the mental maths in the race. I'm sure he doesn't realise that he has to pass Jake Mills to win the title here. I think he just wants the position.
I think he just wants the position, absolutely. I think you're right there. I think he knows that this would put him in good standing for the championship. Little does he realise that this would be the championship, I believe. Although,
behind them, they've got Kiki Mack, who's he's wanted to stay ahead of it. Look how defensive Mills is getting. This is a superb defensive drive. And Pixley's really run out of options unless he banzais it into the final turn. Which
he goes there. He's absolutely gone for it. He's gone for it.
Outside.
He's round the outside.
Lisa Keane in front of them. Can he get the position? I don't think he will be able to, because Jake Mills has got the inside line and is just going to hold on to second place in GT4. What a defensive drive. The winner in all of that was Anthony Brown, who takes his second win of the season as well. But Jake Mills holding on to second place to give himself the merest whiff of a chance of the title come the final round.
Mark Last across the line as ever in a very good fashion, in fourth place as well, so he'll be very happy with that. But yeah, I think unless we get the same amount of drivers into the next round, that could be game, set and match for the championship in GT4. We need about 13 drivers in the next round for Mills to even stand a chance of taking the title.
Well, whatever happens, it was a fantastic race between the two, and great way to end. And in all of that, I mean, we were quite rightly focusing on the GT4 battle, but in GT3, just to confirm, Remy Papin did come across the line in third place, so he will erode a little bit of the championship lead from Simon Wilkes, but Wilkes will be very happy with that. Fantastic result for Stefan Carey in sixth place. What a result. And finally, after showing the pace in qualifying, he manages to deliver it in the race.
Absolutely. But yeah, definitely a great race by all the drivers, I think. Amin definitely showing he's got really good potential at passing drivers and just driving around with, other people in general. Very much a good drive today from him. I think I'd have to say the standout drive again. I don't think there'd be much surprise here. Is Jonathan Seville, after the unfortunate pit stop, just worked his way back through with a bit of luck from the traffic, but worked very, very well to take the win.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we were denied that battle with Miles Dixon because of the incident with the traffic, but it looked like it was inevitable, didn't it? He was just absolutely wolfing up the time.
Absolutely.
Hopefully, we can get some of those GT3 drivers in the interview room, and we will get some words from people as soon as we can. But yeah, the dramatic battle in GT4 across the line. I think we'll just give those guys a moment to catch their breath.
Absolutely, I think that was an incredible race from. Obviously, we have to mention Anthony Brown. Brilliant job by himself to take the win. But yeah, I think Pixley will be doing the maths now right away to figure out just how much of a chance he's got at this championship, which I'm hoping I can play a little bit of a part of at Misano. But
yeah, we hope to see you out on track, Adam. But yeah, in the meantime, we've got a pair of Pulse drivers to bring into the interview room.
Absolutely.
So let's bring them in.
Evening,
Good evening to Jonathan Seville, our race winner, and Miles Dixon, second place. So it is a Pulse 1-2. Congratulations, gents. Got them on mute at the moment. Good evening, Jonathan.
Hello.
Good evening. Congratulations, and the first driver to double up this season. Congratulations on your second win.
Yeah, thank you very much. I had to fight for it because I made a complete mess of the pit stop. So, yeah, that was pushing hard in the second half of the race for sure. Yeah, a bit knackered now.
Yeah, we saw you drop behind in the pit stops, but after that, a brilliant move on Remy Papin to take second place, a really opportunistic lunge up the inside of turn 2. That was a great move to watch. And then you were hunting down your teammate. Now, were there any sort of words exchanged on the Pulse Discord, or was it gloves off?
Well, I muted myself actually after the pit stop, and I'd gone that far down. I thought I'm muting myself and just getting on with it, and just tried to push as hard as I could. So I have no idea what Miles was saying, to be honest. And yeah, it was good for Papin. He gave me space, and it was clean racing from him because he could have easily turned in there, and then it wouldn't have looked like a good move. So yeah, good racing from him as well.
You certainly seem to have the pace. As you say, made it difficult for yourself with the pit stops. It just looked like your teammate Miles timed it to absolute perfection to get the undercut.
Well, yeah, it probably a bit of the undercut, and I completely missed my pit box, so I had to reverse. So that was a lot of time that I lost.
Oh, we missed on the stream. You didn't have to own up to that, but
yeah, that's what happened. I completely missed it.
Oh, well, even more congratulations on coming back for the win then. Fantastic. And Miles, to come to you, I mean, once again, really polished pace. Unfortunately, I think you just a GT4 runner in front of you didn't quite realise you were there, and we were denied what was shaping up to be an absolutely brilliant lead battle.
Yeah, it would have been a good race, but I've been parking the GT4 cars on outside for a while, so just would have given me a bit of space, but I guess not.
Yeah, it's a great shame. And I mean, do you think you could have held your teammate off? Because he was certainly showing the pace, but we've seen your defensive guile in the past.
I would have tried my hardest, but I don't think I would have been able to hold him up, to be honest.
Well, Team 1-2 nonetheless. Congratulations. We are missing from the interview room our podium finisher, Remy Papin. He generally doesn't come and talk to us, but does he give you a workout this race as well?
Yes and no. We was going to watch out for Wilkes. We was meant to watch out for him because he's normally got good pace. So hopefully on the other races he'll give us a challenge as well.
Yeah, didn't quite have an answer for you today, guys. Now, the next race that's coming up, our season finale in Misano, we know will be a night race. Now, you guys have done some night races before, haven't you? How does it compare to driving in full daylight?
It's Johnny.
I enjoy it because the conditions usually make the cars faster. So I don't know, you just feel like you're going quicker. So I enjoy it. Yeah, I prefer it, to be honest.
Great. We look forward to seeing if you can make it a treble next time out, or Miles, whether we can see you on the top step to round out the season. Congratulations, guys. We've got some GT4 runners waiting in our interview room, so we'll move on to them next.
Thank you.
Cheers, thank you.
Thanks, guys. So let's bring in our GT4 podium 2. We're missing our third place man, Richard Pixley.
Seems to be
the third place driver doesn't like to come and talk to us, does he? But
No.
Let's start first of all with Jake Mills. Wow, what a final lap!
Oh, it was a bit tough, wasn't it? I've never driven in the middle of the road so much. It was quite tricky, but I held on just.
Now, we saw you with quite a gap, which suddenly evaporated in the last 5 minutes. What happened?
I think it was a mixture of things. I think I'd pit earlier than Pixley had. I'd gone really hard on the tyres early on to try and close up to Brown. And I had a bit of damage I'd had since lap 1 from a GT3, I think. And I had 3 track limit warnings as well, so I really didn't want to get another one. So all those things came together to me being quite slow.
And we've just been joined actually by your sparring partner for that incredible final lap, Richard Pixley. Have you ever stared so intensely at the back of another car?
No, I don't think so, to the answer. It was a very good squabble with Jake. Congrats to Ant as well. His pace was unreal today. Jake's was as well. I think I had like he said, I had a few problems with a couple of GT3s, and my pace wasn't in the first stint, but it came together in the second. But just wasn't good enough this time again. But I'll settle for third after that race with Jake. That was some good racing.
Yeah, you provided us a great end to the stream, guys. And I mean, it is the championship battle between you. Adam and I were sort of getting the calculators out. We think that by virtue of finishing ahead, Jake has just taken the championship battle to the final round by the slimmest of margins. So anything could still happen.
Oh, I don't know though. I'd need like Richard to pretty much DNF in order and me to win. I think is going to be a big gap still, isn't it? So
yeah,
I
we
mean,
think
it's all to
pretty
play
much,
for
yeah.
still. Obviously, we've seen situations like that occur in various series where, I think a few years ago, British touring cars, I believe, somebody that pretty much had the title in their hands crashed out in the last race. So it's all still to play for.
Yeah, Richard, how good's your internet connection?
I don't think it's the internet connection with the problem. I think it'll be on track if there's going to be an issue, but who knows?
Absolutely.
But they're great to take it to the last round, and I was trying to get the pole and the quickest lap today, but like I said, Ant's pace was just unreal.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, congratulations, gents, and we will now come to our race leader. So, Ant, thank you for waiting so patiently. You were out of sight from the first lap today. That was a fantastic performance.
Thanks very much. I wasn't quite expecting it to go, well, I wouldn't say smoothly, but that well. Because the last couple of races I've had some pretty bad luck, tangles and running out of fuel, etc. So, but well done to the other guys, keeping it consistent through the season as well, and coming into the final round being so close.
Yeah, and I'm afraid you are out of the championship battle, but certainly you've got your name sort of in the books as the first man to beat Jake Mills on track this season, and beat him. Well, were there any points in the race where you were a little bit worried, because you looked to have it pretty much under control?
Yeah, about mid-race before the first pit stop, we were starting to trade times, and I saw him closing a little bit on my Delta, and I thought, how hard can I push safely without throwing it all away? And thankfully, unlucky for Jake, but thankfully for me, he managed to, he picked up some damage on the first lap, and I was able to kind of just trade times with him. So, yeah.
Just talk us through, as a GT4 runner, so obviously the GT3 cars are quicker. but you guys at the back are still very much battling for your own class win. And when you see GT3 sort of traffic, I guess in your eyes coming up behind you, does that ever concern you?
The faster guys, not so much, because they're usually been and gone coming out of a corner, or not so much coming into a corner, but mid-corner they're so much faster, so they can get the drive out. But it's the slightly slower, more of the mid to the back of the field, which you have to be more wary of. You have to take, not an evasive line, but you have to be conservative on your corner entry if they're going to come down your inside and stuff, so you can come back. I think the biggest tip someone ever gave me was to win a race in a multi-class is the person who loses the less time by being overtaken is going to win, because it does cost you time. So you just got to use your head and figure out the best place to let them go a bit sooner, even if you have to get on the brakes to let them by, so you can have the corner speed and get the run up the next straight.
Wise words indeed. Well, congratulations on your win, and for Misano now, really, it's all about the win for you, isn't it?
Certainly is, and it's one of my favourite tracks, so hopefully we'll be able to do well.
Well, thanks very much to our GT4 podium, and good luck in the final race of the season, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Well, Adam, we call time on another race event, and a lot closer track action that we saw at Spa. Some really juicy battles to get our teeth into as well. Absolutely. What was the standout moment for you?
I mean, the battle at the end there was absolutely incredible. I think we saw a great battle between Remy and Jonathan Seville. There's been quite a few, to be fair. I think, you look at some of the standout drives. Obviously, definitely, Amin definitely bringing a bit more pace about himself in this round. Hopefully, he can carry that into Misano and potentially, take a higher position than he did. Obviously, a bit unfortunate for Ryan.
Great result for Stefan Carey as
absolutely,
well, which he was saying all through the stream. But yeah, he's had a good qualifying pace for the last couple of rounds at least, but always manages to find some drama in the race. That didn't happen today. Great result for him, and he'll be delighted with that.
Absolutely, I think he'll definitely be, trying to take that forward into Misano. Misano being a night race, it will be nothing short of chaos. Very, very, very dimly lit circuit as well. So you're going to have all sorts of headlights and all sorts of chaos. I don't know if you've ever driven it yourself, but turn 1 and 2 are absolute menaces.
I think the most challenging thing for me as a commentator next week is going to work out which pair of headlights belong to whom, because it's just going to be pretty difficult to spot the cars from the trackside cameras. Hopefully
those cameras have a little bit of a night vision function, but yeah, I mean, if I'm not in the box with you, I'll be out on the track, hopefully. So
we'll definitely give you a shout out. But either way, once again, Adam, it's been a pleasure sharing the box with you, and a pleasure for all of our drivers taking part in the Positive Perception GT series with Virtual Racing Car Club tonight. The racing at the Nürburgring has been dramatic and exciting, and I'm just about out of steam. So that will be good night from me.
And that'll be good night from me. Take care, everyone.